Well, hello everyone. Welcome to BlueRock Studio. I'm Billy Crockett, and I have the great joy of sitting here with Kate Potter and Deirdre Childs. And we're going to be talking about yoga and cello and music and healing and listening and stillness and what that quest can mean to us in the modern world, and as individuals and social groups. And I'm really excited to just dig into that with you guys and find out a little bit more about it. So here you guys are back at BlueRock after about 3.5 weeks. We saw you, and that was when you met each other.
That's right. Incredible. Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago. And here you are with a vision and a production and developed pieces that are highly collaborative and such energy. And what you have is a fusion of two art forms and two disciplines, two modes of awareness. How are you? Can you talk to me about what has happened just in this last 2 or 3 weeks that has fused your two disciplines? Kate, just talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a bit of a whirlwind in a way. I'm not used to working this quickly, but neither am I used to working this collaboratively so that it really feels supported. It really feels like I am exactly in the right place at the right time doing what I've always wanted to do in my life. And even though I've been practicing yoga and teaching yoga and working in yoga therapy and my new interest, of course, in music, it just all has come to a perfect moment where this fast pace is actually kind of exhilarating, but it's also incredibly calm. I feel really good about what we're about to do here at BlueRock Studios and what we will come up with as a product that will actually help people in their lives. That's our whole mission, is to create something that's useful, something that can help people to know stillness. It's maybe the most difficult thing to practice stillness, not to practice moving, yoga, but to actually be still and to be quiet and to use forms of contemplation and meditation, really.
Okay, there's so much there. We could spend a while with what you've just said, but let me say hello to Deirdre now. And so this is a edge of discovery as well for you, to put your lifetime of discipline into this cello now together with Kate's practice. How is that for you? What are you finding is the energy in that and the discovery in that?
The discovery was that the energy and the project found us and we woke up to it, is what happened. And you hosted that beautiful Yoga for the Creative Life after meeting her in Vancouver, inviting her here. I came because of my affiliation, this being my monastery, as you well know. And coming, mental health therapist, rogue cellist, coming and listening to her voice and feeling her presence and reveling in that weekend. And then when we talked, our energy, there was something that completed together our energy. And when she heard me play, something clicked. And we recognized that.
Yeah.
And so for me, after years of working with singer-songwriters and being sort of the liquid heart in their songs, then the thought of doing this contemplative project was so powerful, because after you'd been asked so many times to do a project,
right,
and after so many people had come to me at folk festivals, at churches, whatever, in tears, saying, won't you do a project? Then we met and there was a recognition of something. And so for me, it's the most joyful, natural, calm, playful thing to be here again opening to this adventure with you, the matchmaker of all matchmakers.
All right, I accept that.
Thank you.
I accept that on behalf of Dodie and myself.
You really
That's
need
right.
to. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
That is a great joy for us. That's one of the big joys for us.
Wow.
Is to, I guess, play matchmaker and recognize that certain gifts are essential and they belong with certain other gifts. And it really wasn't our idea to put you two together creatively, but it was our idea to invite you to the
Yeah.
day. and then I guess it has a mind of its own, doesn't it?
The project found us at BlueRock.
Yeah.
You know.
So can we talk about the project?
Absolutely.
Great. Kate, tell me about the project that we're doing, that you're doing.
Okay, so what we're hoping to make is the perfect sound recorded CD of practices of meditation. One will be a standing practice, which not too many people do, a standing contemplative practice or a standing meditative practice. So we'll guide that with my voice, and Deirdre will guide that with her cello. Another practice will be a seated meditation, which of course many people know from seated meditation. But we're hoping that people will, anybody can sit still and be super alert and be feeling at home in their body. And many people, that is all they can do, right? Yeah. Many people would give anything to get up and do a yoga class, but a seated practice, a standing practice, and two practices laying down. One, which is more, I think of as a bit of a journey, we call it river journeys. And the other is really just an extended Shavasana. And Shavasana is the word that we use for the final portion of our yoga class that is a prelude to the meditation. So we rest so deeply and we become so calm that we kind of wake up this natural healing ability of the body. And then when we come back to our seated place, we're there and aware. And we don't anticipate the world outside us. We stay there. And we feel that deep peace and that, that very natural healing ability of the body. So that's what we're doing, is creating a CD with those four practices. But then Deirdre had this wonderful idea to include another four pieces that are cello alone. So it would be the same music without the guided voice for people that just, have their own.
And then you
practice.
get the echo and the meaning, but you're free to make those associations all by yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, lovely.
Exactly.
Oh, this sounds so exciting.
Thank you.
Now, my wife, Dodie, and I have studied with you. When we're in Canada, we always find you. So we're somewhat initiated, but I'm going to try to speak for everyone that not only your followers all around the world, but the uninitiated as well, who are just coming to know you. And so I will think like a beginner, which I am, and you will talk to us as the expert that you are. That'll be our deal, okay?
Okay.
And Deirdre, your entire creative story points you, if you combine it with the family practice counseling training that you do and the work that you do, something has come together in this. Would I be correct in saying that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In the last 20 years, a mental health therapist working with families, with individuals, some with children, different settings. And then, especially lately, coaching people with chronic illness. And the biggest chronic thing is stress. And it drives the biggest killer diseases. And so when you think about that, and you think about the cello's voice as a soothing, healing balm that can go into the broken places that nothing else can go to. So that is why my life, when I've come here with all of that, that's why meeting Kate and seeing her heart and hearing where she's dreamed of going is ideal. Yeah.
At some point, it feels so extraneous to talk about it. You know? It's like, why talk any more about it? Let's just have this.
Just hear
Let's
it.
get on the floor. Come
Yeah,
on.
all right. Well, I do have to say that one of the really exciting things, the cello, I'm going to just, it may be out of tune, but
Oh,
it
please.
doesn't matter. This is wabi-sabi interview. It's like, hey, but the cello is tuned in fifths, which is, it has such a rich sound. Just a rich, and then can be like breath.
Okay. I hear that. I get this.
Yeah.
It's the breath,
It
isn't
is.
it?
It is absolutely the breath. And that is why we know that this is going to work. Because without the breath, yoga is not yoga. And without the breath, really, I mean, almost every form of meditation and even contemplative practices, the way to draw yourself into focus is really to anchor to the breath. So this expanding
Here.
and contracting,
Just like,
and the rhythm of it. I mean, we get to choose it. Sometimes in our yoga class, I'll ask Tirji, I'll say, can we have a slightly faster pace? Because we want people to
Yeah.
become energized. But then once they're down on the floor and resting, and that exhale breath takes us all the way to stillness. Where the magic happens is what I always teach my students, is the magic is happening between the breaths. Because that's the background. That is the place that everything grows out of. That's kind of the canvas if you're a painter. And the breath is like painting on the canvas. So we're leading ourselves back into that still, way out there, where we find stillness, and then we come back on the inhale breath and find our form.
I'm seeing this. I think this is so articulate. So I'm just commenting at this point. So beautiful. Okay, so the idea now is to carry these two disciplines come together, and you guys are bringing it, you already are bringing it to large social gatherings.
That's right.
Conferences, festivals. Are you doing the Wanderlust Festival
We
in
are.
June? That's what I thought.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's thousands of people all gathered on outside after a triathlon. Am I on it?
Well, we're actually part of the triathlon. It's not your normal triathlon. The triathlon is running, yoga, and meditation. So we are the meditation portion. People will have run 5K. They will have done a 90-minute high-energy yoga class with DJs and, really, let's go. And then we hope to take the world by storm with this kind of a radical change from popular yoga culture to something that I feel is very very new and very old.
I want to hear more about it. So it's already happening. There is, I got to tell you, it's a discipline that feels to most of us like it's steeped in solitude. If we wanted a reflective life, if we wanted stillness, if we wanted to come to awareness of those things that happen in the breath, we would need to go away. But you're telling me that this can happen together in not just groups, but very large corporate, creative, professional, athletic, social gatherings.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Would you like to speak to that,
I
Tirji?
would love to. Part of my background is a trainer in one of the actually 20 centers for education across Texas. So I worked with training people who work in the schools. And so knowing that, again, breath, presence, rest, clarity, brought to people who are caregivers, whether it's hospital people or just in dog-eat-dog business, how many of us could use that oasis of rest in the breath and this present moment? And thinking about that, it opens the whole horizon from hospital people who work on cancer wards to high-level corporate retreats to MHMR staff to mentally ill patients, anybody, any human being, to have the gift of coming out of all the things, the busyness of our mind, even the pain of our body, to rest in the moment. Because the gift of that to me as a therapist is, when I'm in the future, I'm in anxiety. When I'm in the past, I'm in regret and depression. But when I'm in the present, I'm in the gift. I'm in the now. And for relationships, even though presence is a beautiful thing to find in solitude, and many of us need that, to be present to each other is the gift. So to bring that, and in a sense, I mean, I have to laugh and say, one of my great heroes is Mother Teresa, binding up these people on the street that are the off-scourings. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't think, looking around at all these people, that any of us are the wounded or the broken, but we are. And so this is that travel in the spirit of Mother Teresa, going and offering something to bind up and bring us all out of that craziness that we have in our heads and back to ourselves and our breath, very simply, and to each other, to relationship.
Right, and I think we can do it in a way that's not too difficult for popular culture, So,
at all.
So we will be doing very much work
Yes.
as healers or as potential healers, but I would, I'd like to think that these gatherings with a whole, thousands of athletes, thousands of people that are interested in yoga, like the form of yoga that's very, conditioned to believe in the physical body as kind of important and buff, that we can just cut through and really find it for them, support people in realizing the true, or not the true practice, but one of the very elemental pieces of yoga is quiet, being still together. And to do that in a large group of people, I really think it's going to be an awesome way of joining hands without actually touching anyone. We're just feeling the essence of a large group of people who are quiet, who are still. For half an hour, let's just feel still.
How did you recognize your gift, Kate?
I think I'm just now starting to recognize my gift. I've been working for so many years in healing yoga therapy, and I just never feel like I can quite catch up or do enough, or there's just so many people who need help, and I'm never quite sure that I can manage it. But I'm now starting to realize, perhaps coming to BlueRock, and being so welcomed, being so taken care of by yourself and Dodie, and being so at home and understood and cared for, and meeting Dirji in this way, I feel like, okay, I'm recognizing that I do have a gift, and I think part of my gift is my voice. It just seems to be calming for people. So wonderful. Let me use it.
How did you recognize your gift, Dirji?
It was when I began to play and found my way easily improving as a cellist. somewhat self-trained, a few lessons, but just playing with singer-songwriters. And it was in the mirror of other people, of people reacting from a very real place, that sort of startled me. And I thought, wow, there's something here. And it happening time after time, it began to mirror. And I think, I've needed that, because in my own view, I couldn't see it as much. I felt it. So it fed the courage to say, this is me. This is, and of course I have my story of how I met you.
Yes.
Of how I felt this was probably 2009, I felt this great spiritual pressure in my life. And I finally just said to the universe, all right, hit me up on the side of the head. Do I need to be a Buddhist nun? Do I need to go to seminary? Whatever the hell it is, just show me, show me. I'm dense. And Grace Pettis said, are you still wanting to give me tracks on my CD? And I said, yes. And she said, it's at this place in Austin. I thought, yeah, garage studio, with an electric fan and boxes. And it was BlueRock. And we spent 9 hours recording, you and I. And it was the most spiritual, beautiful experience. And I knew this is the voice I'm meant to sing through. Right from the heart. This is the seminary. This is the Zen monastery. The cello, my heart, and me. That's it. Speaking and writing my own music. Being true to that. That is what showed me. The mirror showed me. So that's the long answer.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? There's a knowingness there.
There is.
And it's rare. And yet, part of what I think maybe you're saying is that kind of stuff is available to us. But what does it take? I mean, is that hiding down inside what you guys are and what you're offering? Is that kind of knowingness of what, how to claim yourself and how to claim your gift? Is that hiding for us?
I think it's very much coming out as free, like coming out as when you want to do something, when you're wholeheartedly into something, it doesn't take any effort, and the way that we get tired and exhausted in our lives is, I guess, doing things that are not wholehearted. Yeah. So I really, hope for everybody that they can find what it is that they can do with their whole heart, so that it is, I'm not afraid of hard work. I like hard work, but I just want it to be my whole heart.
And it animates your life. I can see that it does.
Yeah.
It animates your life. Mm-hmm. So the other question, sort of the backside of that question is, Kate, how did you recognize Deirdre's gift?
It was pretty much immediate. I didn't even hear you on the cello to know that we were just, it was one of those things where you come together with somebody and it's like a circuit joining, and there's an immediate trust, huge trust within a nanosecond, really, and you recognize it and you just carry on, but you think, oh, that is very good. This is good. But then really, I guess, we were practicing silence in the morning and practicing long hours of teaching, long hours of you all doing your yoga practice. And then in the morning after meditation, we agreed we would be silent until after breakfast. Mm-hmm. And Deirdre played for us during that silent portion. And everybody who was on retreat suddenly was alive in the silence, quite engaged in the silence. And it hit me, this is what I need. I don't need to be so fierce about silence anymore, because I have been a little bit of a, I don't really like music in yoga classes. I've often been the one saying, no, the music is the breath. You'll get spoiled by music. You'll depend on it. And it's, just let's eliminate more of the of the vibrations, and let's just get in. But the cello is different. The cello and the way that you express your voice on the cello, it's just perfect.
Well, that's a real shift then for you.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dear G, how did you recognize Kate's gift?
Two things. One, I was working at the kitchen sink on the retreat, and she came over with this glowing face. It was still in the first morning silence, and gave me a huge hug. And it was like something clicked, and it was like, wow, something powerful is here. It was pay attention, pay attention. And then sitting in class for the very first time, listening to her voice, listening to her teach, and really feeling that heart energy from her, and how I could be totally at home in that. I knew, and I confess, I was already thinking, I bet she's going to ask me to play with her, and I would love to. I could see us touring together. I'm serious. And I was thinking, man, I'm going to have to quit my job, because that's more important than anything else, because I know what people say about how this touches them, and my job is to get out of the way. But I heard that. I heard through the stillness and the beauty, your heart's call to us to be present and to honor our lives. And I resonated with that, and I said, I am here with that. It wouldn't have happened without BlueRock. You made this place for that. And here it is, showing up.
Well, I have to love that. You're right. That is good for us.
You made space for this.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I've taught in many, many places. I've been teaching for 25 years, and so I've given a few retreats, and I've given a few classes, and I have never taught at any place like BlueRock. It is just the welcoming, the way that you made me feel when I walked in the door, and the way that I felt when I came into this was our meditation hall. The attention to detail, and the fact that every place where your eye goes, your eyes rest. And every sound that you hear, your ears rest. It's just a magnificently earthy, fantastically magical. And I know that you and Dodi are responsible for all the details in every corner. There's details and thought. Everywhere I look, I think, look at that. Who would have thought of that? So thank you, Dodi.
Yeah. There we go.
but and I have to say though, and that is why when we connected and Toronto came into being, I'm saying we need product because we have to share this with people.
Okay, that's what I want to talk to you about. Thank you, and it's a great joy to have been a part of this connection. But where does it go now? I want to know very specifically, if you would talk to me in details. Hey, there's those details again. What do you bring to a modern culture that loves to, they don't just multitask, they love to multitask, to workaholics, to professionals who are creative, who have a multiplicity of gifts and relationships, but don't stop to think or deal or receive or hear them or themselves. Mm-hmm. What are you bringing? What can you bring? What this idea of I think you called it contemplative relaxation.
Yes.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I know you're going to do it in Toronto for thousands. And this is going to go out into the world and express itself how?
We are hoping to first of all show people that silence and quiet is not difficult, and that it's useful. And that, it's not just a reaction to the busyness of life. It's not just a correction that we're, a part of in the whole slow movement. There is a movement afoot of people just saying, this is not work. This world is not working for me. I need to be more simple. I need my life to be more simple. Yes, that is true. But we're also hoping to just 5 minutes is all you need. You're a high-powered executive. Well, put our practice on while you're driving your car. You know, just reset and refresh is the point. Orient your life so that you don't have to become, you know, a monk. You don't have to become a yogi or, you know, the idea is that we want this work to be really accessible and really easy, and you don't have to change your religion. You don't have to believe. There's no dogma here at all. It's just simple, and it's reflective, and we believe that it makes a difference.
And I'll piggyback on that because there is in cutting edge neuroscience, and this is another thing why this clicked with me. When we get into deep brain processes of anxiety and worry, those neurons firing together wire together. They're learning that the adult brain, we go those deep brain loops of anxiety and depression, and we will, even those of us who are just busy and stressed, those stress chemicals and those patterns of thought grow that part of the brain fatter and make it easier to stay with the negative away from the positive. And that puts a big pall over everything in our lives. So this, oddly enough, with the research that's done lately, this fits with a simple way to entrain your brain into the positive. And when you do that, the brain begins to grow and strengthen in the way of positivity. And it's not just, and what I love is this is just not conjecture. This is hard-edged neuroscience, very much that if you just spend a few minutes a day savoring the positive, it changes your life. So this is potentially a tonic, but it's as simple as putting on some, you know, popping in a CD or putting on, dialing in a podcast, whatever. It's something that can be at a fingertips reach for a few minutes.
Right.
A tonic that's practical as it is deeply nourishing to the spirit.
You know, for many years, because I had a television show that was, Namaste is a television show that was seen in so many different countries, and there were so many fans for the show. Now, it was my choreography. I was not in the show. But it was my voiceover, and people would write to me, and some, I mean, many people wrote to me from all over the world, and they'd say, I have cancer, I have MS, I have Parkinson's, I am in hospice, and I listen to your show every day because it's the one thing that brings me to calm. And this is, you know, it's a yoga show that I think the meditation portion of it was like 50 seconds, like a really short shavasana and a really short meditation. But it was 25 minutes of voiced practice. And it seems like people are crying out for something that will calm them and soothe the nervous system and potentially even heal them.
Rounding third now.
Okay.
There's my baseball metaphor.
There you go.
You have stories of catharsis, stories of healing. People come to you, as I was just listening to you tell me. They listen to your cello, Deirdre. They listen to records that you have performed on, concerts that you do, even the artists that you work with. Some of them say, I can't play that song anymore without Deirdre, because it's a lifeline for them. You have stories in your experience now of people that are really receiving something profound, and I know that you carry that with great humility. But what is it now that you know you have, or that you know you channel, that people will get when they come to the conference, that begins and that ends with the meditation that you two will do? What do they get?
They get a space of time where they're totally held in a peaceful, quiet place where they are allowed to wake up to their life. It's accessible, it's easy, they don't have to, it's come as you are. Bring nothing, just come and sit and breathe. And it goes beyond regular meditation practices because the cello is there singing to those broken places and Kate's voice. Something different, and yet simple, accessible for everyone.
Thank you. I get it. I want that.
Me too.
Isn't that great?
Well said.
How would you put it, Kate? How would you put what is I mean, you have worked and taught and listened and cared for this practice all your life. Mm-hmm. And you have your media products are out there in 5 continents. You have fans all around the world, and you have stories that they tell you. Mm-hmm. And they are profound. What do you now know for sure that can be received from an event like the ones that you will now go and do together?
Well, I hope that it's more of the same. But I hope that now that I've found a true partner in collaboration, somebody who really understands me and who is really, I just respect so much and I honor so much that the history of music here. I'm just so thrilled to be working in a musical form with meditation. So I hope that in that collaboration we'll find more people who will really see that it's easy. People will be really taken care of in a way that there's not a lot of effort. You go on a silent meditation retreat and that is difficult. And nobody seems to be able to hardly even people find a weekend away anymore, but a 10-day silent meditation retreat. And you are held in such a practice, but it is difficult. You're meeting yourself and you're meeting your own ego, and that's hard work, and it's not for everybody. But I believe that we can give something that really is for everybody. We're just trying to do something that's useful and that's clear. And hopefully very profound.
Wonderful. So maybe we'll finish with going back in time just a little bit. I don't know, maybe 3 years. You know where I'm headed?
Yeah.
So Kate, you had a real close call with mortality, and you were very surprised by the presence of a thing called spinal meningitis. And it is a toxic, it took up residence in you somehow. And you found yourself in intensive care and hospitalized for many, many weeks. And so when you speak about healing and this practice,
right,
it has served you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How did you use your breath and your discipline and your lifetime of attention to come back from that place?
Yeah, it was definitely a comeback. I mean, I guess what happens when you're that close to dying is you accept that you're dying, and that then everything after that is a real gift. So in that I was definitely recovering and going to recover in a way that I knew I had a chance to come back again from bare bones, like very, very small, 76 pounds and very, very old, very, very fragile. And yet all this history of yoga as a healing practice and all this power of the mind behind me, so that when I would strike a pose, and I didn't have a lot of strength, but when I would reach an arm out, I would literally see that arm full, like it is now, plump, with, weight and muscle. And it was just this spindly little thread of an arm. And same with breath. It's not like breath is strong when you're ill. Every part of you is sore because you're so small and you're so weak. And spinal meningitis is just so painful. But, I was not afraid. So I guess that's how my practice has served me, is that there was never really a time when I was afraid. And I wasn't even afraid of how long it would take to come back. I knew it would be at least a year before I would teach. And I was happy to have this project of just me. I had a real excuse to say no, no, and no. Sorry, no. This is me. I am going to do this now. And as you know, Billy, I really found music. That's how I found music. Was I had bought my classical guitar just before I went into the hospital, and had been listening to your music. I knew all the pieces on both your CDs, and when I finally was able to listen to a bit of music in the hospital, because it takes a long time before you can let anything enter into a brain that's so rocked and addled. But I listened to, one piece at a time. I'd just listen to your classical music, just one piece, and breathe. And then when I got out of the hospital, I knew I was going to practice my guitar. And I have practiced my guitar pretty much every day since. Not last week. This is about the only time that I haven't practiced.
So, Deirdre, the work is happening on you. It's happening on each other. Mm-hmm. Music has come to Kate.
Yes.
In the most vital way. And Kate's gifts have been obvious to you in a similarly vital way. So I just want to celebrate that with you both and tell you how much I am moved by this discovery that you're on together, and the substance of what you do and what you know and what you carry, the substance of what you carry out there into the world and into the corporate settings and the creative circles, the orchestras, and the triathlons.
Yes.
And I wish you well. And I'm so grateful to have been and to be a part of it in some small way. And
may I say one thing?
Yes.
What I would like to say is, because of my experience recording, because I've been in so many studios, and after making my own CD of harp, cello, and piano, beautiful instrumental here, producing that, I knew there was no question in my mind when we decided to do a project, we had to come here.
Oh, yeah.
Because we wanted nothing between our hearts and that entwinement and the listener. And BlueRock provides the nest, the beautiful nurturing nest, but the Rupert Neve equipment, the staff that attends to every need that is so inspiring and present, and you and Dodie hosting. And I knew this place had the spirit to hear and listen to our work in a way nowhere else in the world would. And I just have to say how grateful I am that that is here, because I know the integrity of what our hearts create will be delivered flawlessly to those who need it and want it. And so thank you for your own passion and fierceness in providing that for artists, this beautiful place where we can be a community and strive to give our best. And so to answer a question you said earlier, my dream is that not only do people feel an access to some healing, but that it begins to wake up in their hearts and speak to them the call to be who they are in this earth. because there is no one else but them. And that's what the voice that my cello wants to whisper in the ears of every soul that listens is, wake up to the gift that you are on this earth. So thank you for being the gift that you and Dodie are, and being fierce about delivering this, because this community has grown up with this and into this, and we're just so grateful. So thank you.
What a delight. Okay, so every great collaboration in the world. I'm talking Paul McCartney and John Lennon. I don't know, Penn and Teller.
Yeah.
Every great collaboration is more than the sum of each. Is that true? I mean, does that feel like it's true?
Absolutely.
The lyric that's so beautiful somehow rides on the melody that opens it and informs it, and they have that effect on each other. And suddenly it's remarkable, and it's possibly historic. So I just want to maybe bless you with that idea that this is synergy here. This is more than what you are individually now. To the extent that you're going to carry these gifts together, I love how you affect each other and open each other's gifts and inform each other's gifts. And that spills out. And I want to wish and hope and pray that for all of our sakes, that it will just pour out all over us. So with that said, it's a great delight to be with you both.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you so much.